Keeping our neighborhoods safe and welcoming starts with something simple: property maintenance. Code Enforcement Director Brian Thigpen walks us through why it matters and what every homeowner should know.
One of the known issues in Dolton becoming known is people not keeping their gutters properly cleaned. And the reason your gutters need to be properly cleaned is because in the wintertime, if they aren't clean, that water builds up in there and it has a greater chance of creating ice dams, and then it tends to make your gutters sag or even potentially bring your gutters down, therefore causing damage to the house, roof damage, and if you're in the driveway you can damage your car or your neighbor's car. So that's why it's a big emphasis on code enforcement not to just have your grass cut within 8 inches, but also make sure you're keeping your alleyways clean, make sure you're keeping your fence lines clean, and making sure your front trees are trimmed up a minimum of 7 feet. A lot of people get it misconstrued that, hey, trees are the village's responsibility. Well, the village ordinance actually states that we are in charge of the parkway only when it comes to the utilities that are actually in the parkway. The house owner of that particular, where the parkway butts up to, they're actually responsible for the upkeep of the grass, the bushes, the trees, and things like that. Now, the village has in the past as well as currently, if there's an issue with safety to where a tree is actually coming a street light, they can get in touch with the code enforcement department and we can pass that on to Public Works so they can actually come out and trim that tree.
Here's a great example. A Dolton home with manicured grass, trimmed bushes, and a clean alleyway.
This is what property maintenance looks like. This is what we want to inspire the rest of the village of Dolton. Yep. So what we have here is a great example of proper property maintenance within the village of Dolton with this particular house back here. And there is a ton of others as well, but we were coming down the street and I was explaining this is what we want to inspire the rest of the Dolton residents and business owners to do with their property. We have the grass nicely cut and manicured. The bushes are cut and manicured. And one of our biggest topics that we have issues with, his alleyway is cut as well. Like I said, we have a big issue with the alleyways. Most residents don't understand that you are responsible for what grows behind your property, whether it's grass, overgrown tree limbs, bushes. Your alleyway must be properly maintained, and you must have your address to the property somewhere where emergency personnel can see your address from the rear of the property. If you don't have a fence, you can post the address to the rear of the property on a possible tool shed, or you can post it up at the house. Anytime emergency personnel comes down that alley, they should be able to tell what property they are behind.
Vacant homes can be a challenge, but code enforcement and Public Works work together to keep them presentable, while the housing department addresses long-term solutions.
Behind me, we have a house that many of you might know has been vacant for years in the village. We just want everybody to know that not just the code enforcement department, but all the way up to the mayor's office, Mayor House, he hears your complaints. We do have contractors that are coming out now to at least cut the grass to have it looking decent, and we are in the process of trying to extend those services to where we can have the bushes and everything cut down. So we do ask residents, if you have a vacant on your block, or if you just drive through town and see a vacant, please give us a call so we can at least tidy up the property so it's not as much as an eyesore. And we are in the process with the housing department to find the owners or banks that own the properties to see if we can do anything as far as special housing programs or even demolition in some cases. But please, if you see a vacant, let us know. We can get the grass and the bushes cut so it can at least look like this and not be severely overgrown.
And it's not just lawns. Gutters, garbage placement, and even illegal dumping in alleys fall under code enforcement. Residents are responsible for keeping their space safe, clean, and accessible.
This is a prime example of why the Code Enforcement Department exists throughout the United States, because our main focus is property maintenance and upkeep. The house behind me has grass that is taller than allowed ordinance for the village. It also has what we call weed trees. They were weeds that have grown into trees that are bigger than the bushes. The bushes are unkept, and one of the big issues that I explained earlier about the gutters being severely clogged, they have weeds growing out of the gutters themselves. The garbage can is also on the front of the property, which we have a village ordinance against. Garbage cans have to be on the rear or the side of the house. So we're in one of our alleys, and what we have, one of our other major problems, we have illegal.
How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Oh, you took a picture here?
I'm the Code Enforcement Director. We're talking about the illegal dumping, or the fly dumping that's happening within the alley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're not fly dumping, are you? So definitely with the fly dumping, if you are fly dumped on, you can contact Code Enforcement, or you can contact us first. Then we will analyze the situation, see if we can get it removed with the help of our Public Works Department. We understand that not everybody comes into their property, especially if you don't have an entrance in your alleyway. You are still responsible for the upkeep and cleanliness of your alley parkway. You have the alley parkway, plus, as I mentioned earlier, you also have to make sure that you have your address on the back of the property for emergency personnel. Overgrown weeds and bushes, as well as tree branches, are the homeowner's responsibility. The village has no responsibility to the upkeep of an alley. In certain situations, if it's a vacant, we will come back there due to public safety. But as far as overgrown weeds growing up in between the fence, weeds growing around the tree perimeter, we ask that you cut those down. And one thing people can use, they do have some that are kid friendly and animal friendly. You can get total vegetation killers, so once you keep it down, you won't have to cut it as frequently. Another big safety issue, the overhanging tree branches. You can cut any tree branch that overextends your property. It's called the airspace law. You can cut directly up and trim that tree, as well as the ones that are in the front property or back. We please try to strive to make sure they have at least 7-foot clearance. Nobody likes to get out of their car or SUV, and when they get out there, getting hit in the face with tree branches. But that, like I said, that's also a safety factor, so no one can actually hide up under the tree. We ask that the homeowners please keep in mind that they are responsible when they meet in the middle. So we have 14613 on the west side of the alley. We have 14612 on the east side. They are responsible for what grows in the middle, as well as their parkways on each side of their property, as well as their fence line. Make sure your address is also placed on the back of the property. So right now I can say I'm behind 14613 if I need to call something in, or if they get a call saying, hey, at 14613 we believe it might be a suspicious person, or could possibly be a small fire in the yard when you can't see the smoke or anything yet. When emergency personnel come in the alley, they will know which house to go to. So this is one of the examples where I mentioned earlier that we have a village ordinance that is enforced by Code Enforcement, where the trees on your property have to be trimmed 7 feet up. That way you're not getting out of your vehicle with a tree branch hitting you in the face, or you're not scratching the car roof or even the car sides when you pull up. This is one of those examples of how low the branches are hanging. We ask that all residents and business owners, if you have trees on the property, please trim those up 7 feet. That way less scratches, and it also helps for safety. Anyone can be hiding up under there, especially if it's a low light situation.
Property maintenance isn't just about rules. It's about pride, safety, and respect for our neighbors. Together, we can keep Dolton clean, safe, and strong.